Hello, hello. How's everybody doing today?
Hey, how you doing?
Just living the dream. Sorry if you hear a dog barking in the background. My pooch is a little excited today, I guess.
If you're a dog lover, that means must be a good time. I don't know.
So we'll give it a second to see how many more people pop on, and this one will be short and sweet. I got some cleaning to do, and I got to get my office all set up for next week. So let's give it a moment, and we'll go from there. AJ, if you want to talk at all about the wonderful work you've been doing, by all means.
The wonderful work.
Oh, the wonderful work. I've seen some of your
Are
photos. Or
you
your
are you referring to the NFTs?
I am referring to the Christmas ones. She's not the one who is doing the giant like Christmas NFT drop we're hoping to do. But when we first started discussing on the team, um she's gonna be doing the 12 days of Christmas ones. So I'm excited about those.
Yeah. Basically, our theme was kind of like Christmas around the world, since obviously, as we talked about with American Dream, it's not just American; it's the world view. So we wanted to do something that represented other countries. So basically, without giving too much away, we've kind of compiled a list of countries that have kind of unique traditions, like the origin stories behind some of those traditions. So, I don't know how much you want to go into detail about the ones we've picked. If you'd like to, you're more than welcome to. I don't know how much you want it to be a surprise, but
Oh,
share whatever.
we'll keep it a surprise for the most part. Outside of that, but we're just doing so it's going to be 12 of them for 12 countries, and that's all we're going to do. So it's not like here's one and there's 30 different copies of it. There's going to be 12. The idea was 12 days of Christmas, 12 individual ones, and those are going to be kind of like a first run of the NFT concept outside of like the airdrop ones for just a multitude of reasons. One, wanted to try our hand at it. BSC space. NFTs are not the most popular. They're growing. I mean, NFTs in general have started growing, but just kind of dipping our toes in, seeing the differences of BSC versus Ethereum based NFTs. So wanted to start something simple, and then additionally, just to kind of drum up a little extra towards marketing funds and the few things that we have in place. So they won't be crazy expensive. They'll probably just be one BNB each if you want them. And then we'll most likely have them up on Tofu. So we'll list when they're up for you guys to decide what to do with them. Buy them, sell them, ignore them. Kind of up to you. We just wanted to kind of try our hand at it before we really started focusing heavily on that kind of category in the crypto space.
Well, I hope you guys don't ignore them.
Tingaling is in the house.
There he is. Ting-a-ling. It has a ring to it. It has a ring to it.
It does have a ring, dear old Tingaling.
It does. The ting-a-ling ring. Awesome.
That's
So to kind of dive right into it, we're 4 minutes out. I feel like this might be one of the smaller AMAs that we do, which is a-okay. But really just wanted to give you a weekly recap, which I think is very pertinent to all of you guys. So as you've seen this past week, we really pushed hard on third-party AMAs, and it was comically a flop. Every AMA that we've done up until this week was definitely very fruitful and very productive, and you see a lot of really good organic growth from it. And I feel like this past week, it just was member counts, but not holder counts. The first text AMA that I did on Tuesday actually wasn't too bad. I thoroughly enjoyed some of the questions and the experience. But then once the Satoshi one started, it was just like 90,000 bots asking a question all at once, and there was no growth or ability to really explain things. They were definitely very pushy on the time period. That's why when I did the Spanish one, they gave me the questions ahead of time and I like pre-answered them. So I just copy and pasted the answer to make it happen quicker. So I was not a big fan of them. Yesterday did the first voice AMA of the week, and it ended up being the same guy who hosted us at Crypto Shill. So it was a lot of the same people, just split between two groups. There wasn't much enthusiasm from the group itself. Today, the first one we had, honestly, I really enjoyed it. The call went really well. It was short, sweet, to the point, very engaging questions. But even though we got a lot of new members in the group, I did not see much uptick when it came to the chart itself. So coming next week, starting to spin away from us being the ones getting interviewed to us being the ones interviewing. So I've got two projects right now, King Lion and CoinFlect actually, that we're finalizing what days we're going to do talks with them. I'm reaching out to a few other like startup projects that I really like, that I think could be a good fit for partnerships down the line. But more or less, what I'm trying to do there is it's a multifold of things. So whenever we do these third-party AMAs, I notice a lot of you guys go from our group into their group, and then you listen to me talk. And I know that when we reverse the roles, there are going to be a lot of investors from these other projects who will enter our group, listen in on the talk, and then stick around and kind of review the project of the group that they're in itself. They won't all do it, but there will still be a few. So it's another way of getting our word out there, because when we're doing these third-party AMAs and I'm talking to the devs of this other project, inevitably, like some of their investors are going to just kind of see what we're about. So that could bring in new people that way, as well as starting to pre-vet people that we feel would be good fits for the swap when we release. So if we can have a list of coins already ready to go for staking and farming and all that when our swap releases, the better. So to get in front of these people, it's going to immediately put our like name in the back of their head. So they're not just going to go, oh, what's this Dream Swap? Why is it contacting me? It's more like, hey, is Dream Swap out yet? I want to put my token on your platform. And end of day, a lot of these AMAs are really expensive. I can't believe how much some of these groups end up charging for what ends up being an absolute garbage AMA. And I know that we could provide a level of service, a level of genuine service that has not been touched yet. So realistically, for the start, I just want to charge 1 BNB for these AMAs. And some of these are charging like 3 to 9 BNB for AMAs, which is insane. And so part of that includes the $100 that I plan on paying anybody who successfully refers one of these projects to want to come in front of us and talk and discuss. So I want to have a low barrier of entry for new projects, because I know marketing budgets, they go fast. We're living proof of that. We've done a very good job of managing the budget, but we went from thinking we were going to have 180,000 to 30,000. And that's a huge difference. So we've done a really good job of managing that. And I want to find ways to increase the budget, so effectively do increase our cash flow, but also provide other tokens the opportunity. Because while I want you to invest in American Dream, I feel like if you don't diversify your portfolio, you're shooting yourself in the foot. So even if any of you guys invest in some of these other projects, who's to say that it won't 10x before us, and then you could take some of those profits to buy more of our project as well. So there really is a lot of positives to all of this with very few negatives end of day. Let's see what else. So we've also Arturas has finally gotten some images back from the person working on our swap. It looks good. It doesn't look like what we were hoping. It still has a little bit of a bubbly meme token feel to it. So he's working on having them kind of round out the bubbly edges to be a little bit more smooth and modern and less jokey. But the features that are on the swap so far really impress me, and I have a really good feeling about the guy who's working on it. So that might actually come out a whole lot. We might still hit the Q1 goal, even with our lower budget, which is super exciting on that front. And I'm trying to think what else I had. So the Christmas NFT drop that we're talking about doing, we kind of bantered in the back on the dev side about how to do it, because originally it was going to be the top wallets, and I think we're going to actually split it up once we have a finalized number of how many NFTs we're going to be able to afford to kind of give away as Christmas gifts. Split it up in such a way where like we randomize the top 25 to 50 wallets, and then 60% of the NFTs go that way. And then we take the remaining wallets and we'll randomize them, and then 40% will go that way. That way it kind of opens up the playing field where, if somebody can only afford $100 of ours, the whole concept of this project is to not just let the rich stay rich. The whole idea is to allow everybody an equal opportunity. And I feel if we didn't split that up, we would kind of be going against the whole image that we're trying to uphold. So, obviously, if you want a better chance at getting one of those NFTs, of course you want to be one of the top 25 holders. But we kind of just want to reward everybody who puts what they can in, because, thinking more and more about it, we have investors from other countries where, $25 for me doesn't even fill up my gas tank, and $25 for another investor could be what puts food on the table for an entire week. So we don't want to kind of belittle or sell any investor short end of day. And then the final thing, which I'll do a type up and pin and post, because this group this chat right now is 11 people. I think it was 12 at its heyday. Usually we have like 25 to 35. Is I want to do a coordinated buy next week, and not a like substantial amount from anybody, but the idea behind this is we're coming close to testing the support, which I am not too worried about. But when we hit the support, if we can do a coordinated buy to have a solid green like ticks after that, I'm having a brain fart. I'm going to post a picture of what we're looking for. Pedro, if you want to mention the pattern really quick that we're going for.
Okay. So one of the things that especially as a chartist, right? Like you want to see a healthy chart, and what you're looking for is really, so when the market moves, right, it will explode up, come down, then go sideways a little, and then explode up again. And when it explodes up, what you want to see is it come back down to the previous high, which was previous resistance, now becomes support. It's really what you're looking for. So when you look at a chart that's healthy, a lot of times what you'll see is that type of format. And then what you want to see is it go down, and then you see buyers stepping back up into it. So it was red, then turned green, and then you'll see it's called a hammer pattern. And the beautiful part behind this is that what it means is that sellers stepped in and buyers stepped in after and pushed the market back up. And when it does that, as a technical person, I sit there and go, oh, there's real buyers sitting here. And then what you do is the next day, you'll see it come down a little bit more, come down into the wick part, because it basically creates a wick. So what happens, it opens up the previous or the day, comes down, gives you a red candle, then goes up, and then you have a wick there. The next day, you'll see it come down into the wick, then continue up, right? And you want to see that for a few days, and you want to see it go above the previous high. And then it'll come back down again. And so it means that it's a healthy pattern. It means that people are actually in there buying it, and there is true support. And so when you're doing this, when other people are coming in and looking at our chart, or, let's say we pop up on CoinMarketCap again, or we pop up on CoinGecko, or wherever we're getting listed, right? All of a sudden they come and they look at the chart and go, holy dang, look at that. And even though they're not an American Dream investor, just simply looking at it going, wow, I think I want to look at it. And then they look into the project and realize, oh, this is a real project. This isn't just a flyby. And so then all of a sudden you become that person who we got their attention, becomes an investor, not only because we have a great fundamental perspective or a fundamental ideas that are really going to change the market, but also our chart looks great. And when you have both, all of a sudden you see people. So the way we're going to do that is in a sequential way. Again, and I use the word sequential purposely. We will time it where we'll have people come in at a certain time period, right? They'll push the market up like every half hour, every, hour. People come in at certain points and you'll see it happen, where you'll say, okay, these people buying in at this point, you'll push the market up and then it'll come down a little, right? And then we'll see people buy in again. And at that point, what happens? It gives you the appearance of it coming down, going back up, coming down, going back up. Because if we all buy at one period in time, at one junction point, like let's say 12:15, all of a sudden you'll have this big, huge green candle, but it doesn't mean that there's really real investors, or it doesn't mean that there's really support. It just means someone came in with the big money and they might leave and they'll pull that liquidity out or they'll pull that money out. And so when I sit there and I go, well, but when you see a continuous down, then going back up, and then a down, then going back up, it means healthiness. Did I explain well, or did I confuse people? I apologize if I did.
I think you explained it well. If you have questions, obviously fire away. And with the coordinated buy, I'm not asking anybody to do like a substantial amount, but if we have $5 volumes, like if half of us invested $5, over like 30-minute increments for a couple of days, like it'll trick the system basically. Like people who just watch charts and don't research are going to see that. And that's when you kind of get people to FOMO in who don't do their research. But also once we see like our next major spike up from CoinGecko, and then you have the long-term holders who are going to research our chart, they're going to see things like that and they're going to buy in and they're going to hold. So it's effectively kind of like tricking the chart to make us look, especially right now, the market is bleeding. So if we can,
I think, I was just going to say, I think the correct term is market manipulation.
Well, we're not
it's
using
always done.
Yes.
Like if you look at the futures, it doesn't matter who it is, right? Like Google did it. Like it doesn't matter. Like we could go in, you can actually see a market manipulation. They do it literally internally with the actual market makers.
Mm-hmm.
Like market makers make a lot of money, even though this is not said. I mean, and they do that. Like, okay, boom, boom, boom. And they'll reserve buyers for later. They won't fill buyers. They'll fill the sellers first. Boom, boom. So they'll push the market down. And then what happens is at the bottom, all of a sudden they'll match all the buyers with the sellers. Because when the market goes down, there are a bunch of people selling. And then as it's dropping again, people are selling more. Then all of a sudden, boom, you have a overwhelming side. So this happens like
every day.
I'm sorry.
No, it happens
Literally
every day. So it's just kind of a way for us to do it as a community instead of like, I'm sure if I looked hard enough, I could find a market manipulation bot where I could just put a BNB in and have it buy and sell on its own till it runs out of funds. But I would rather see like the community build that up because again, I want to avoid anything that is like actually manipulation. I don't want to do things that are negative. And again, like I know not everybody can even afford the $5, but that's why I'm saying $5. Like I don't want anybody to if you want to throw a BNB at it, great, by all means. But I want to have like low expectations for realistic results because it shows the volume and it shows the green volume. If you look at the chart, even though we're red and going down, there's still a lot more people buying than selling. It's just larger sell orders than buy orders. So you've got a lot of small like $30 buys. And then you've got like that one guy who does $100 sell. So it looks like our charts are a little on the red side, but it's still doing really well.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, we're doing a great job by holding and staying in the market. I mean, really.
Yeah. Well, and again,
that's actually
with a bleeding market, like if we could, even right now with the bleeding market, we're holding amazingly strong. And I don't know if it's just because we're a little piddly altcoin that nobody's looking at, but I mean, we have the largest group of intelligent investors that I've ever been a part of for a project. Like you guys all blow my mind. You are amazing. Honestly, you're all amazing. It blows my mind.
Oh my God, thank you so much.
Well, except for him. I'm still waiting on my tea. Don't make me throw it in the harbor.
I'll step and accept that compliment.
There you go. But yeah, no, honestly, you guys you blow my mind. Like you jump in as a community whenever there's things going wrong. Saturday, we had a massive hiccup. And if ever there was a time for this project to get fudded and get crushed, that it would have been that day, and all of you stepped in, and you like you were patient, you were polite, you were kind. Anybody who was confused about what was going on, like the community defended the development and the project itself, and it never had the chance to get fudded. I mean, we're 2 weeks from our initial pre-sale, and outside of like one YouTube video, I really can't think. And there was the one guy who I really couldn't understand what language he was speaking. JK is not on this call. He never translated it for me, but he said it wasn't nice. But outside of like those two instances, I can't think of a single time where we genuinely have had bad publicity or people talking bad about this project. Like, it's amazing. You guys are all amazing.
Hey, Joe, could you just give me a recap of what happened? I kind of caught just a little wind of that something had gone wrong, and I hadn't had time to look into it. And it looks funny on the chart. Like there's clearly something happened.
Yeah. So what happened was, you know how Friday we removed the burn wallet from receiving rewards in celebration of like CoinMarketCap listings, so everybody could get their full reward. When we reactivated it on Saturday, we have no idea how it happened, but when we reactivated it, it basically backpaid the rewards for the last hour, and it threw us out of sync with Pancake, or not the last hour, the last day, and it threw us out of sync with Pancake Swap. So we got pinged as a honeypot, which meant that you couldn't buy or sell, and we like had to fight tooth and nail for a couple of hours to get it back on. So it's like we had to then remove the burn wallet. We tried to add liquidity and it wouldn't let us add liquidity. I'm 99% sure what ended up happening was Howler actually burnt some of his own personal tokens. And by sending tokens from his wallet, not through a swap, but from his wallet back to the burn wallet, when it was removed from accepting rewards, put us back into sync with Pancake Swap and allowed trading to happen again. And so that is why like the burn wallet is forever removed from rewards, is we don't ever want to go through that again. Like
that's quite the hiccup.
Yeah.
But yeah,
that could have crushed the project.
Yeah, and that's a great sign that the community was understanding. And when you have real community, you know, I've had some experiences in other communities where when the community spirit isn't really maintained in the true way, fighting will happen because people feel included and they don't understand what's going on. But when you have real community and people feel a part of it, they feel heard, and there's true dialogue between the development team and the community. If there's a good explanation for things, then there's no need to FUD. But FUD often happens when people are confused and they're not getting a good explanation.
Yeah, exactly. And like I know, like this week I've been super busy working on other aspects of the project, so I've not been in chat as much as usual. But anybody who's been here since day one, or anybody who's DM'd me, like it might take us a second to get back to you, but we try and stay as active in the community as we can to make sure the community feels included. So, and it seems like it paid off when Saturday happened. Like everybody, they knew us, they've seen our faces, they've heard our voices. They knew that we were on it. They were watching us, and we were active in the group chat itself. While Howler was doing things, I was translating back to the group so he knew what stage we were on, instead of just trying to like ignore it and solve it. Because I see a lot of devs that if that would have happened, like I've talked to a few other projects, and they're like, if that had happened to us, like we would have just gave up. Like they wouldn't have even known where to begin to fix that. So you guys are amazing.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Joe,
thank you, Joe. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
Sorry, I was gonna just say a couple things. I wanted to get back to the coordinated buy, but it is interesting, and this doesn't need to be addressed, but it's interesting that when the burn wallet was turned back on, it took everything from our wallets without the authorization. I don't, that's really mind-boggling in my opinion, but again, that doesn't need to be addressed. I just thought that was weird. But the coordinated buy, so how's that going to be scheduled, and how is that going to be communicated?
So I'll make a pin post. I'm thinking Wednesday of next week is the day of doing it. So I'll make the pin post, and then 2 days in advance, when we kind of finalize a little bit more of the concept, I'll have Nick set it up so like that bot that keeps popping up talking about the scheduled AMAs. We'll have it set up for the coordinated buy. And then when it comes to like the individuals, like I don't want to pressure anybody. So it's going to be one of those, like we kind of just all have to discuss in chat as we're doing it. Because I don't want everybody to buy all at once. But I also don't want to be like, all right, you 10 people buy now if somebody maybe actually didn't want to buy. Like I don't want to single people out and make them feel bad where like we'll know if people didn't buy. So it'll just be one of those, like when we start that Wednesday, we'll just kind of be in communication. Like, if we have 10 people saying like, okay, I'm going to buy it, try to buy it at the bottom of the hour. And then we'll watch the chart kind of adjust from there on out. And we can kind of discuss it too in community for the next few days, the way that we're going to think it's going to work best. Because like I said, we've only got 14 people on this call, which is, the numbers are a little low compared to what we're used to. So it'll give us time to kind of coordinate as a group to figure out the final day and go from there.
Also, I mean, and the thing is, you want to buy on red candles. You don't want to buy on green candles. I mean, as it comes down, we want to see it come down, and then you buy at a good price, and then it's going to push it back up. That's one of the biggest things that you want to see, right? When sellers step in, it's the actual buyers that are coming in and supporting and are taking the other end.
Exactly.
That's really what we're looking for more than anything.
Excuse me.
And what are your guys' feelings on that? What are you guys' thoughts? Because some people think that you should have an open market, and that in itself is important to me as well. So I'm just thinking what your guys' thoughts are on that.
I wouldn't mind hopping in if I can.
Yeah, I think it's a good idea. And again, that's why I'm only saying like, $5 or so, like nothing crazy. It's just enough to trick the chart itself into looking very green. I mean, if you look at the volume, obviously you're going to see it on the lower side. But when we have just those green candles and then people pop in and look at it, like it's just going to smoke and mirrors on today. It's going to look really, really good, even if we know it's like we're just kind of tricking the system. But again, when we have that little trick going on and then the CoinGecko happens, like it's going to look that much better. And with the CEX listing coming up, like we're going to hit all of those new investors, and they're going to go back and they're going to look at the chart. They're going to see that, and a lot more of them are going to buy in off emotion while they do research. So all in all, even though it's kind of smoke and mirrors trick, like it's gonna really set us up for a solid foundation.
Yeah, I think that it's a good idea. I think it's worth giving it a try. Mm-hmm. The only big thing that kind of came up that was kind of like just playing devil's advocate and whatnot is like, are we setting up a situation where we're just basically giving a whale in this project a heads up to hold off a little longer and then dump, considerably more than what we might be getting in buys is the only thing.
Understandably so. So far, I pretty much know who the top 25 holders are. The only whale that I was genuinely concerned about, him and I had a conversation yesterday, so I know who it is, and I'm not actually worried about that based on talking to him and his demeanor. If anything, you might actually see him buy more during all of this.
Question!
What's your question?
Go ahead. And then, go ahead.
I was just going to say, how many coins constitutes being a whale in this scenario?
More than Howler.
I think it's a good idea. Yeah. I know, like the coordination side of it sounds good. I mean, it's always like herding cats, trying to get people to do things, coordinatedly. So I understand that.
Exactly.
And then regarding like, concern about people saying it's manipulation or anything like that, it's like, I think you kind of, we're not trying to pump it up crazy to then do anything sketchy. Like we're trying to do this for the health of the project. And we know what the space is like, and like you got to be kind of ruthless sometimes.
Exactly.
There's people that are doing a lot of really sketchy stuff in this space to pump up projects and get CoinGecko and CMC listed within an hour of launch and stuff like that. And I think that we're just taking an attempt at doing what's necessary to get this project moving forward and continue its healthy growth. And once we get access to things like CoinGecko and a central exchange, the volume will speak for itself from all the new investors.
Exactly. And honestly, $5 and $10 buys isn't going to trick the chart into having the same growth that we saw on Friday. But what it's going to do is anybody who does track charts, like they're going to see that, and they're going to see that bounce, and they're going to see the green candles and that level of support. And it's going to show a lot of educated investors like the potential behind this. I mean, don't get me wrong. Would I love to see these $5 and $10 buys spike this green back up into doubling what we are right now? Heck yeah. But that's not the real plan behind it. The plan is to just show it bouncing off the support there and then working its way back up. So it'll look very good structure wise end of day. Like, and as you watch the chart, even the last couple of days, like it's kind of naturally done that, but it's slowly working its way back down to right now we're at about where we were on Friday. And really all we're doing is just doing our best bet to make sure that it doesn't break below the support. Because if it breaks the support, traditionally, like you'll watch a lot of things dip, and we want to avoid that. But if it does dip, I mean, that's a really good time for people to buy in. But at that point is when I'm worried about whales that we don't know and don't trust to buy in. Because if we see this dip in half and go back to where it was on Thursday, like that point, people have seen what we can do. They know we're not on CoinGecko. That's when we risk seeing somebody do a $10,000 buy-in and then see it 4x and then they dump out and crash it again. So it's kind of preventing people that we don't know and trust from having that opportunity.
Yeah, for sure.
Until we really have, 10, 15,000, 20,000 members that are, like for me, right? I am going through, I've scheduled a certain amount of money to always go into the American Dream, right? Like it's like, boom, it's part of what I do whenever, it's kind of part of my retirement, right? Especially with the reflections and if that's going on with that, especially when we're at the beginning of this, I schedule that. So I put money in it, but the other end behind it is for us as is moving and we're sitting back and seeing it come in, even if big whales come in, right? And if they decide they're going to crush this setup, or our project or the project that we have, that we're going to say we, but your project as well as ours, it could, and the reason why I'm saying this is because if that does happen, that's honestly another opportunity for us to buy. And as this does get pushed up and we do get listed on CoinMarketCap and all this stuff, and if they do see it does bottom out and then it did rally back up, again, that's another, and I'm preempting this because in case if it does happen, it's nothing but a good thing, no matter what, because once the swap comes out, once we have the staking rewards kicking in with our own yield farming platform, this is just going to bring people in more because they're going to have to buy our coin to go ahead and yield farm other coins, or vice versa, right? But no matter what, we're just trying to get right now attention on this to bring eyes on us. That's really what this is about. So if somebody does come in and they buy and then they sell and crash that market, well, that gave us money to get us back into the portion that we need to get into. Did I speak too much? I feel like I lose people a lot of times.
No, I think it made sense.
Pedro has a lot to say.
Too much, I feel like sometimes.
Well, it's rare to find
Pedro.
somebody who can talk as much as I, so I do not mind.
Hey, by the way, just on the theme of manipulation, I was watching a launch this morning that 100x'd in the first 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And, looking at the BSC scan, it's like there was a 600 BNB buy, which is probably a bot. But, the whole project had advertised that it was going to 100x at launch. And they started with a 170,000 K market cap and went to 170 million in 5 minutes. And well, they had an enormous, their group has like 100,000 before launch. But looking at that 600 BNB buy, that probably is a bot, right?
Yeah.
Getting in there right at the beginning. And the thing is, I don't know the team. I haven't researched them enough, but they could literally just have had their own bot and been willing to spend 600 BNB to get the chart up. And of course, all the pre-sailers, like sell off. It did actually land at a fairly healthy floor, but that could be pre-planned.
Yeah.
That whole action. Right. So, manipulation is happening all the time. And what's probably more important is what are the intentions of a project? A little bit of manipulation, not necessarily a bad thing, but like what's the project for?
Yeah,
who's benefiting from it, and so on and so forth.
I don't like the word manipulation, because even though theoretically what it is manipulation, but it's one of those like, I want to trick the chart into showing solid support, which I think naturally, honestly, it'll probably happen. But instead of like risking it happening on its own, I kind of would rather discuss it. But I mean, like you said too, like I really could have thrown 10 BNB into a bot and let it just market itself until the taxes make it run out of money to just show a dip and a rip. And I don't want to see that happen, because if I do that once and then you guys know that I did that, like that's going to completely crush your faith in this project, because if he's done that once, what else is he going to do? Like I don't want to see things like that happen. So I would rather just discuss it, see if we can get 100 people in the community to throw $5 at this all in the course of 2 days. It should be enough to just boop, kind of trick it forward. And then again too, as the volume picks up, I mean it's going to start appearing in more and more places. But if we're able to get even more of our holders to do that and they throw in $10, like we could see, if we make the 24-hour volume happen correctly, we could get retrending on CoinMarketCap's top gainers for the day. And that's really what happened on Friday, is we got up to number 3, which was insane. We got listed and all the way up to number 3 top gainer of the day really quickly. And again, we could trick the system into seeing top gains, because the 24-hour gain will increase percentage-wise more and more and more. And then if we slide onto that chart, there's more people who are going to look at it, see that, and then start to buy in, and it's going to bring it up. And realistically, it'll probably bring us up to a new floor. And that could even trigger the CoinGecko listing, which is only going to take us up even higher from there.
Yeah, I mean, and what we're talking about here is, I mean, in a healthy community, if there was a bigger community, people buy the dips naturally, right? That is a natural, healthy way to support what's going on. It's like there's always going to be sells, and if you just budget, like Pedro said, some of us got on the pre-sale, great, but we can continue to buy a little bit in the public, arena and keep it healthy and keep it moving. Because if it's just stagnant, that's not healthy. So
exactly,
that's different than the kind of manipulation I was describing.
Exactly,
because that's probably, it's either a bot or it's the team has pre-planned that, because that's the action they wanted to get. Because like getting over 100 million market cap in the first 5 minutes certainly gets you noticed.
Well, and especially if you were like bragging that you were going to 100x, and then to see that happen, like. But again, like what's hard is if you look at some of the stupid tokens on CoinMarketCap, I think one got posted earlier too, like the names of them. It's like people just see the name of this token, they just buy it because they think it's going to 100x, and then they like it crashes on them. Like nobody really researches this crap. So it's nuts.
And Joe, I just want to say sorry for cracking that tasteless joke about manipulation.
Oh, no, you're okay.
I don't think this is that case, because if you owned a small business, you could be floundering financially, and you put on a smile and you put that front on. Oh yeah, everything's going great. Business is great. Yep. And here they look at your finances. They are looking at the finances specifically. That is the business. So there's nothing wrong with investing into your business.
Yeah. Exactly.
Here's the other thing I want to throw in, right? I think, and this is actually another cool thing to think about, is that once this is up and running, like we are literally creating the first air quotes Bloomberg terminal for pre-launches and fair launches. Like this is huge. Like, there's nobody out there doing this. And additionally to that, you're gonna be able to go in and stake your coin and or farm it I mean, there's nothing out there like what we're doing, you know? And so this idea that this isn't just this we all know this isn't that run of the mill project. And so it's going to be one of those things that, like, yeah, we're basically the marketing team behind this right now. So in 3 years, 4 years, when American Dream is, 500 million, if not a billion market cap, right? We'll just sit there. We'll be able to help other coins out there like that. We'll probably be part of the marketing team to work with other coins, right? That come on the swap. You know what I'm saying? I mean, what are your guys' thoughts? Or am I thinking too far ahead?
Hey, Joe, are you paying Pedro to say all that?
No, so far
I wish, man. I wish. I'd be like, I'd be chilling, y'all, man.
This is all too deep for me. Can we just talk about like scones?
No, it's Pedro. This is what he does, and he very much enjoys the concept behind this project, and his heart's in the right place, but he also sees the financial benefits of it. End of day, like he's not saying this for personal gain because it really helps all of us at the exact same time. So he's very intelligent when it comes to a lot of the things he's talking about.
I may sound like an idiot. I have no doubt.
I was never discounting your intelligence. If I came across rude, then it's just it's 9:15 in the evening here, and I'm like sitting here fried on my couch like a. Literally, I'm trying to comprehend everything, and I can barely remember my own name right now.
It's okay.
So
have a scotch.
Well, puff, give, brother. Shoo, why are you holding out?
I am trying to chill, but at the same time, I feel as somebody who's absolutely fucking clueless, I need to listen in and learn a bit on this stuff since I am the T-boy of the community. Ting-a-ling.
Ting-a-ling.
Ting-a-ling. So look at it like this. Yeah. This is really something. I'll make it very simple. Right now, we have a very baby project. It has much potential, right? And right now, we're getting it going real simple and easy by doing little small things, by like buying at certain times. When they come out with the swap, which is their primary, one of their primary projects, one of their things they're going to do, that in itself is going to just generate income for us overall. Because people are going to sit there and they're going to purchase the coin and move forward in it. The other part behind it, right, is when that happens, our chart is just automatically going to get big. Just like when people buy BNB, right? Well, they'll be buying American Dream. And so who knows if us being this small right now, if not in 5 or 10 years, we're sitting at $1. Right, or we're sitting at, maybe that's even too much of an ambitious. Maybe we're sitting at $0.01, right, in 5 or 6 years from now, because the overall business model is a sound business model, is what I'm saying. And so doing what we're doing now by simply just purchasing it when it dips, all we're doing is buying the dip at certain junctions, to make sure when some random guy walks by and looks at the chart, goes, oh, that's a sexy chart. Let me buy into that. It's that simple.
So I think...
With respect, I hope it's quicker than 6 years, because I don't think I'm going to be alive in 6 years.
Listen,
I think...
Can I spend a bit of it, please?
I think the penny amount is a little... Like, if you do the math, like what our market cap would have to be, if we hit a penny, the world economy most likely crashed, and the USD would probably be worthless. But I think we could shave 4 zeros, no questions asked, relatively quickly. I think we could go from 7 zeros to 3 zeros. But I mean, even at that point, our market cap is insane. We would either have to burn more tokens, or again, like the value of the dollar would really have to go down. But even then, though,
if the Fed keeps doing what they're doing,
I mean, I'm not saying it's unrealistic.
Anyway, sorry, go ahead.
No, you're good. But
hey, Joe. Can I jump in with a different question?
Yeah, fire away.
So with the staking that you had set up for CoinFlex,
yes.
I noticed you announced that started on Monday, but I haven't jumped into that. But how does it work with the staking versus the rewards, like if you send it in and stake it,
Yeah.
do you still get rewards, or is it one or the other?
So when I set up the CoinFlect, and I'm gonna open with this. When I set up the CoinFlect, the burn wallet got basically 50% of the reflections. Coming Saturday, the burn wallet no longer got reflections. So it was set up with good intentions because there was the potential that farming on CoinFlect could have gave you a larger ROI as a smaller investor than the reflections. Right now, if you have any sizable amount, if you are going for income, the reflections are going to provide you with more income than with CoinFlect. But if you have a lower amount where the reflections aren't as high, especially in periods of low volume, or if you want to diversify your portfolio, at that point, CoinFlect is a really good concept. Even myself, I have some coins on CoinFlect just to kind of experience it side by side with you guys and to diversify my portfolio. Once the term is over and I get all my CoinFlect, I'm probably going to split it up between 3 or 4 other projects on the platform just to spread, because you never know which one might kick off before ours. Because if one of those 10x's on me and all of a sudden I see, I've got $10,000 of coins that I made just from farming, I can immediately flip and turn that into ADREAM if I wanted to, or other concepts like that. So like I do support the concept of diversifying your portfolio, because you never know how it could benefit you. But if you are just going exclusively for income, right now your reflections are probably going to be higher than you would get from farming. But if you want to diversify, if you want to split things up, if you want to have like a little to no risk way of getting into other projects, then farming at that point would be good. But never put your whole portfolio in there either. Like no more than like 25% really should go in there. That way you're not losing out on your potential for reflections. But end of day, it's one of those, you kind of just got to look at it and see if it fits your investing strategy yourself. And then you'll kind of know from there.
Yeah, I mean, currently I've been roughly seeing like 1% increase on tokens a day, which is very significant.
Yeah, especially we've had pretty low volume right now too. So like the next major spike that we see, it could be kind of crazy.
Yeah, I mean and like I was on another AMA with you, and I mentioned like I did catch that nice peak and pulled out my initial investment. But now also watching, what's going on and what you're planning, like I put in 2 BNB, I took 2 BNB out. Mm-hmm. And, now that I'm seeing like, well, this is a really great community. You're really doing what you're saying you're going to do. It's actually pretty easy for me to then start putting a little bit more in too, to help the project and, like draw more interest. So
yeah, I appreciate that.
Yeah.
I'm really looking forward to when you guys really come out with the Bloomberg terminal. I really am. I mean, that's one of my primary, like I keep showing this going,
yeah,
there's nobody out there doing this. And this is a big deal. The community aspect, that's already based within the system. So when you bring this is important to understand, into the pre-market sphere, this is probably it's going to be hard for other companies or other organizations to put this in their system, because it's not within their actual their contract. So they can't go around and change their contract unless they have a relaunch or a reboot of their system. This is already within our system. So as this gets going, you're going to be the first one to the market. And as you start to build on that, people are going to take notice and come to your guys' coin launches and go, wow, this is awesome. This is a great community. And just want to join in it. That's why I'm just so excited, because it's going to help out like my friends. So when I sit down, I say, hey, yo, go check out this coin here real quick. You'll love it. Go to ADREAM, sign up and do all this stuff. I know that they're fairly protected. Whereas right now, I'm not really going to send anybody to, pink sale, because I'm afraid that something's going to pop up in this chat and then all of a sudden send them to another thing. And then they get screwed over. So I love what you guys are doing. I'm sorry, I don't mean to be overselling this, but it's just,
hey,
it's a big deal.
If you oversell it as much as we do, I mean, more and more people who might have been on the edge are going to start to believe it. as well. Like, I could say it with emotion all day, every day. It's when the community itself, which you guys do on a regular basis, when the community steps in and starts vouching and saying the same things we're saying. It's kind of like I was telling you and a few other people, like a paid influencer versus an influencer who works off of their beliefs. Like, you can tell when somebody reviews a project unbiased versus like, yeah, I got paid to review this. And I will 100% more trust and believe in a person who is unbiased than I would over like, oh, I see like, 10 tokens a week get released on this channel and they never talk about it again. Like, I know that, influencers being paid. So yeah, the more you guys talk about it, the more people who are, I mean, we've got 2,500 members in the group and 1,750 investors. So the more you guys talk about it, the more of those other 1,000 investors that we're missing are going to buy into this, because if they're sticking around and they're bots, like, they're going to see you guys talking about it. They're going to see you guys discussing it. Like,
we just started.
Yeah. And we just started.
Yeah. You guys hear me?
Yeah, I got you.
Yeah, I was curious if you guys have plans in the future of actually becoming like a licensed business, or if you guys already have that. And if so, if there's ever going to be a point in the future where we could buy equity stakes.
That is an amazing question that I don't have a full answer on. I know when it comes time for the Dream Invest platform, because it's effectively going to be a nonprofit, and it'll have to be set up in such a way that when we give money to these businesses, they don't get taxed into oblivion. So it's one of those, as we get closer to that, and like right now I've got a personal friend who is a business lawyer, so he's starting to look at things on the side, because just like some people on my team, like, this is a breakout for everybody realistically. And so he's looking at it to see how that could potentially become a thing, but I don't know how to basically make it a publicly traded company and stay in the crypto sphere in the US, under the US regulations market. Like, there'll either have to be regulatory changes, or like there's a lot of parts to that I don't fully understand to make it happen yet. But it is definitely something that in a certain extent will have to be done. I just don't know if it'll be a public or a private company.
Is that kind of what Litecoin wanted to do?
So at this point, basically everything that's going to be poured into the swap and the chat and the launch, all of those things are going to be done so by the investments that are made in the coin itself, essentially.
Correct. Yeah.
And then what you guys have allotted for funding through those percentages of taxes. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. So right now, theoretically, that is what makes us publicly traded. But we're utility versus commodity to kind of avoid some of the SEC smackdowns.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
That's a good thing.
Yes. Don't want to be Ripple.
Hey,
yes.
Could you guys expand a little bit on the Bloomberg terminal stuff? I don't know anything about that, so I'd love to learn a bit about what that means.
Pedro, the floor is yours.
I know. All right. So, long story short, major corporations go out and spend about $10,000 a month, where they go in and you have a group of investors, but everybody kind of gets in and they get information on buys and sells that's going on within an actual chart, major stuff that's actually being established. And that is put in a terminal where you can look up on any type of, and also all type of news, everything that you can imagine within one area, right? Instead of having to go research it and look at other things, any type of major releases. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. Light was one.
And so it's all in one big thing that's easily able to see. So what we're doing basically is when somebody pre-launches with any, like a pink cell or DX cell, right? You can go to the actual Telegram, but if it's like a crap coin, they might block certain people, right? And you don't know that they're blocking people or whatever. Whereas And so that's a form of communication, right, that you're missing, that you can't see. And so when they fair launch, all of a sudden they take that money, there's a rug pull, and you get screwed over, right? You're like, dude, dang. And you saw the warning signs, but you didn't, right? Whereas here, what they're doing is, if you look at the Pink Sale pre-launch website, you can see that they have the primary point where it is in the middle, right? Let's say, I'm going to use Mind Music because Mind Music is moving up to, or it's going to be launching today, right? So Mind Music, you have the primary information right there in the middle. And then you have on the right side, you have like the pre-sale starts in X amount of time. And then, excuse me, I just ate, so I apologize. And then you have the countdown to public, right? So, but you don't really have any communication on that. And so if there is some type of BS where it's like they have a open liquidity wallet, right, where they can pull that out and put it in their pockets. Well, if a person doesn't know, because remember, this is for the 8 out of the 10 people who are not in crypto. That's what this project is about, is getting to the 8 out of 10 people in America to bring them into the crypto scene. So they'll be able to come onto American Dream platform, sit there and say, oh, okay, wait, what does that mean? What does it mean when you have a dev team with an open wallet? And all of a sudden, and everybody says, scam, something's going on. They've switched things up, right? All of a sudden, it's able to make other people say, oh, okay, this is a safety mechanism that allows investors to get in with enough information to get in or to stay out of a project. That's the idea behind the Bloomberg terminal, which is basically all the information that is currently on the internet and maybe off the internet that gets put in, buy, sells, and everything that correlates with the actual stock or even futures, whatever you're getting into, right? It's all right there. And major corporation investment firms spend tens of thousands of dollars, if not more. Some of them, if they want it faster than everybody else, you spend like almost 100, or some of them spend millions of dollars to get a millisecond faster than everybody else. So their bots can buy or sell a security at lightning speed. We are creating that, but through a crowd-based system. And so we're sitting there, we're all doing it, and we can sit there and look at it and go, wait, guys, this coin is right? And it will protect the novice investor by getting into pre-sales and micro caps and not be screwed over. I know that was so much, but you asked.
That's a good example.
Even further though is like he definitely specified like the pre-sales, but like the dream chart is coming out even before our launch pad. So even before we get into everything that he just discussed, it's a way to have that same control and protection for already established projects. So they'll actually have to present to us, like when you go on PooCoins, the moment your token hits the open market, it gets tracked on PooCoins. Like there's no regulation to it. Like that's why if you go through and you just start typing in random like letters for tokens, you'll just find hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of like rug pulls where you just see the spike and then this red bar down and it's done. So we want a third party way. Like think of like StockTwits. Like I love StockTwits. You see the chart right then and there, and then there's a way for people to communicate underneath. And it's a third party source. So like, yeah, you could go into their Telegram group, but like Pedro was saying, how many people have they blocked that are actually telling the truth? Like, is that Telegram group full of paid bots that are shilling very promotionally good things? Or is it like a legitimate group? So by having a third party source on top of it, like inevitably there will be some unnecessary FUD that happens. It just happens everywhere. But if there are people who legitimately know that this project is a scam that are being blocked from protecting people, like you can do so much research and still end up getting rugged. So this is a way to just provide one more tool and one more source to hopefully prevent that from happening to our community. But even end of day, like you can lock your liquidity for 6 months. Like there's slow rugs still happen. And it's a way for investors to kind of, again, discuss what's going on and like research with each other. And there's some people who don't have Telegrams. There's some people who don't have Twitters. Like there's some people who don't want to deal with all of that and that will literally just utilize like a charting platform that has a discussion underneath it to really further their knowledge about the project. So while it's not something that we can necessarily like pursue legal action on scam coins, we can protect to the best of our legal ability for investors to really have a level playing field as best as we can.
Well, that's a noble pursuit in this wild, wild west environment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
For the
so if I
sheriff.
understand this, yeah, there's a new sheriff in town. So if I understand this correctly, so that's a service, real-time data of a variety of data points and a community that's able to discuss things.
Yeah.
But you're also going to do your own launch pad. So there is, am I understanding that correctly? You want to do your own launches, but this other thing is like, I mean, I have to kind of like go back to the website and look at your roadmap again to really, so I apologize that I haven't updated. But are these two different things? Launching your own projects and then being able to watch other projects with the data points?
Yes. So the launch pad will come before the chart and the Dream Invest because one, it's going to be easier to set up a launch pad over the funding small businesses around the world. But yes, so the launch pad will have co-integration with the charting platform. I'm going to sneeze, I think. Give me a sec. There we go. But the Launchpad itself was designed, we use Pink Sail, and the Launchpad wasn't initially a concept that I had even thought of pursuing. And I'll say this with grace, but Pink Sail was not the most helpful or user-friendly interface for this whole concept. And so by seeing all of the pitfalls that they have, we kind of see where there are so many really solid projects that are kind of being hindered and held back from launching just because of the lack of user friendliness of Pink Sail. It's also not a very customizable contract when you work with them, so we want to have it in a way where you really could have a differences between buy and sell transactions and develop more in-depth contracts than we were actually able to make when we worked on ours. And so we want to then, part of why we want to do the chart before that is so that way we could have like the immediate co-integration with the chart. So if they're going to be on our launch pad, ideally they're going to go through the process of being KYC'd. Like we're going to do everything that we can, again, just for investor safety. I mean, we're at the point now with crypto where I feel like any project that isn't willing to take the time to get KYC'd, they don't necessarily have to be doxed to the public. I would prefer that. But if you're not willing to be KYC'd to your auditor, like what, or even get an audit for that matter, like what are you hiding? What are you planning? Like what's wrong? Because there's some pretty cheap audits out there that just make sure your contract does what it says it's going to do and that there's no backdoor to it. Like it doesn't cost but like $2 to have an audit that says that there's nothing shady in your contract. Like it's a pretty cheap thing to do. So if you're not even willing to do that, like what are your long-term plans? So we kind of just want to weed through all of that garbage in a day and not allow things like that to proceed forward on our behalf. Inevitably, you know, shady people find a way. Like shady people do shady shit is kind of what I've said on almost every call because they will. But we want to just be a potential roadblock for shady people to not have the opportunity to ruin this space further. The more scummy people are out there, the harder it's going to be to regulate crypto properly. Obviously, I don't want to see heavy regulation, but the more we see scammers going, the more that the world governments are going to try and regulate it harder to prevent things like that from happening, which means when regulation happens, you know, laws only impact those who follow them. So it'll make it harder for real projects to continue, but it won't make it any harder on these scam projects to happen. So we kind of want to be the forefathers to shutting down that crap before it gets to the point where it makes it hard for projects like us to survive.
I'll make a comment on that if I could.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, just a case in point of how great that will be. I don't know if we got anybody in here who's invested in Forever BNB to this point, but this one's it's probably about 6 weeks old now, but it continues to this day. I lost money in it as far as a rug pool, but you're talking about a place to house information where people can, you know, kind of get a feel for is this a good project or possible rug pull. But you go to their Telegram, and it continues to happen to this day. I've sat there and just watched it for hours. What'll happen is, you know, people come in there and then they'll They're like, oh, hey, we're good to be here. We're good to be here. You know, and it's all welcoming. And then some time will go by, and then they figure out, hey, what's going on here? You know, where they can't sell. He'll raise the sell tax to 125%, and nobody can sell. But as soon as the comments come up, he takes them away.
Yeah.
It's basically, it goes on a few hours, and then he wipes it clean, and it happens again. You know, it's just over and over and over, and there's nothing we can do, or that I know of, to let people know, hey, don't jump in here. You know, they just look at it like, oh, this project's down. It's a good time to buy the dip, and then they buy, and then they lose their money.
Yep. That's literally to a T what we're trying to stop.
You know what? I even thought about, you part of the website, you could actually put in kind of, you know, that guy who gave us the scam card, right? Remember that guy? Instead of doing that, where you just outright blatant, somebody could come in, verify with us, and if they're known as a scammer, if they haven't scammed with our group, you know, we could become that, you know, that thing where people who dox, that we can sit there and say, okay, we know who they are, we know, Nah, that's just a crappy, you know, but we could sit there and go, or we could have we can even have like little vetters who go through and check and see, like for you sat there and watched that for hours.
Yeah.
And then you come in and say, no, these guys are absolutely, you can take screenshots, post it here. This is what happened, you know? I don't know, just a thought.
Yeah.
Just an addition.
It's, like I said, there's already a lot of moving parts. So as we get closer to that, things like that that's when we'll really start to dive into things like that, because I do like the idea. It's just figuring out how many we would need, how effective it'll be. It's kind of like the little polls that I did today too. I'm trying to figure out where our community is even coming from to see what's effective and to pursue those things further. So I like the idea.
I'm from England.
I'm sorry.
That's not very nice.
Well, I'm not going to apologize twice, but
No, that's okay. I actually found it quite humorous.
Good.
Thank you for making me chuckle.
You are welcome. But yeah, so it's an amazing idea. It's just when we get closer to it, at that point, we'll kind of reconvene that concept to see if it's going to be feasible or possible. Because, I mean, end of day, if all goes well, we're going to have tens of thousands of projects. So how many people would we need to actually be watching these projects? So, but that's
it could almost be a little bit. Sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, but that's also part of like the whole concept is instead of having necessarily like quote unquote employees watching it, like the investors themselves are going to self-regulate their own charts theoretically. Like you're going to have somebody who's going to use our charting platform instead of PooCoins for stuff that they're invested in. And if it's gone through the hoops and bounds required to even get on our charting platform, like, you know, the people that are going to be talking on it are, I mean, you know, it was going to at least one point been a realistic project. So the community themselves should be able to self-regulate whether or not like the devs pulled the rug after 6 months or if like they're just on hard times and they're still there. So that way we wouldn't even need extra people to do it. It would just be the community itself.
Well, look at Shiba. I mean, Shiba went, was it 8 months? Like at its lows?
Mm-hmm.
I forget exactly. And then all of a sudden, I mean, investors got in. And I remember the day when they bottomed out pre-sellers. Yeah. And I was looking at the charts going, there are real investors in here. They're pushing this down purposely so they can buy in at a really low point. And then all of a sudden, I remember seeing the next day, boom, it exploded with a ton. I think this was in June or July, maybe July-ish.
July-ish is when it bottomed, yeah.
Yeah.
I missed out on SHIB by I was talking to Tyler about this. I bought it literally days after it rocketed. I only got 70 million. But if I bought it literally days before, I would have had $500 million sitting there kicking the fucking teeth.
Damn, man, my heart breaks for you. Oh.
Don't count your chickens before they hatch.
I would have had like 100 G's sitting there. And for a common man like me, that's special, you know?
That's a common man like me too, man. I mean, yes.
Any of us.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, we're not wealthy. But what I'm saying though is jump back to what on point is you can sit there and you can reach out to the devs and say, dude, are you there? And they're like, yeah, dude, we're swimming right now, right? Like I'm working hard at this, right? Like there's one project I'm in and I've reached out to the head guy behind it. He goes, dude, my whole entire dev team quit. My promotions quit on actual launch day. Yeah. I'm still at this. I've still got this NFT project, and I'm going to do it. I'm just going at it alone. So instead of being 2 weeks, probably should take a month and a half, 2 months.
Yeah.
I said, well, I've got your back. Don't worry. And we've talked numerous of times now, 3 or 4 times. He picks up my calls. We talk and we communicate. And I say, what are your plans? What's going on, right? And the guy is consistently there. He's not removed the liquidity, right? He's not taking anything in his pocket. He's still paying out his reward tokens. So it's just...
Yeah. I think that's what happened to DeFi Apes there on the CoinFlect platform. Like the day before we went there, like 2 of the 3 devs just quit, basically. And so like they sold their shares, said we quit and we're done. And it just crashed everything. But then there was still one guy going like, well, I'm not giving up yet. Like, I want to make this happen. So, yeah, there's a lot of people who are just going to shit talk it and think it's a scam, when realistically it's not a scam. It just was a project where people quit. Because just because people quit doesn't mean it's a scam. There's still potential. Usually scams are a little bit more obvious than that. But then again, you have ones like the community that Howler and I came from. I mean, it got rugged 3 times before. So it was one of those, like, also... When is this guy going to quit too? Like, is he going to see it through, or is he now going to be alone so long that he gives up? So it's one of those, like, we don't want to label people a scam if they're not, but if devs quit, like, it is still, you know, the more people who know, the more people can go, like, either believe in the project versus like, oh, well, there's still a dev there. Maybe it's not going to be a scam. So it's just, again, it's about providing information.
And if you guys want, you guys can go on to Investopedia.com, which is a really good site. It's really used well in America here. And you can just type in Bloomberg Terminal, and it just populates and you can see it. It's really, look under key takeaways, and you should be able to just quickly see what it's about.
Hey, if you guys could, or maybe even answer it in DMs if you don't want to answer it publicly, but how is it that they rugged the 3 times without people walking away? Like, what? Like, was it a relaunch? Or like, what did they do?
So I'll give you my shtick on it. I bought in after the second rug, so I didn't even know about the first 2 rugs. So I discovered it in October, before this project started. The current moderators of the group said, we're giving up on the project. Like, if somebody wants to take it over, take it over. And I came in and I was like, I'll take this over. Like, I'll be the guy who, like, brings this project back to life. Like, I believed in it so much. Like, it had so much potential. Like, I got the web domain and all that. And I'm like, I'm going to be the one who does it. And then the admin locked the chat and posted, like, what was it? Pablo Escobar of Wallet this. Like, I know that you've pulled the rug and you're a scam, and I'm going to put your name all over places unless you give me the contract and pay me all the, like, 10 Ethereum or something dumb like that. And after like 2 weeks, when I realized, like, well, that was dumb, this is never going to happen, the guy who posted that reached out to me and he's like, all right, well, that didn't work out. So now that I've completely crushed the project from any further potential, like, you want it? And I said, yeah, sure, whatever, I'll look at it. So he brought me into the admin group, and I was able to then just go back to the start. I went and took the main chat and the admin chat, and I went back to day 1, and I just read everything that wasn't deleted. And it turns out it was like a stealth launch on Ethereum. Before the token even launched, the guy who wanted to launch the token was begging the community for Ethereum to pay for the launch. He got something like 20 Ethereum from the community to launch it. And then so he put it all in, and then within 24 hours pulled the rug on it. He pulled that money out, and then the contract went to somebody. I forgot the guy's name now. I'd have to look it up. But the marketing wallet and the contract went to somebody else. And then after like 2 weeks, that guy ran away with the contract and the marketing wallet and pulled the rug again, just took all the money out. And so there were a few of the members who really tried to keep it going. One of them was like Billy. So anybody who was part of Uskita long enough, they know Billy. I mean, he tried to the best of his ability, but at the same time, like, for all I know, Billy was actually the guy who pulled the rug or stole the contract. Like, if you look at the communications that he had, he definitely put up a convincing fight that he wasn't, but it doesn't mean that he wasn't. He really could have been. And so in October, all of a sudden, like, there was that another like altcoin craze that was going on, and the price was starting to go up. And so like my Uskita investment, I saw actually break what I had originally put in. Not by much, but it broke it finally after I thought like, whatever, $300 is gone now. And all of a sudden I saw that I had over $300 again. I'm like, oh, great. So this is finally doing something. And then 2 days later, it got pulled. And then that's when everything started happening. So that was the third rug. And that's where I started to notice that there were issues. So yeah, like the first 2 times just happened within like the first 2 weeks of the token existing. And this was the first token that I ever truly bought into without researching at all. I saw it suggested in a SHIB group, and I was doing so well on SHIB that I'm like, well, let's throw some of my SHIB profits into an altcoin and, dip my toes in that further and see what happens and, learn my lesson there. But yeah, that's kind of how that happened a few times. But silly things, it's one of those, it's proof that people sometimes buy on emotion. Trying to avoid that.
Were those guys doxxed or no?
No, not at all. If they were doxxed, like they're convinced they figured out who owned the contract and it was some dude in Canada. But there was no dox, there was no KYC, and that's why Howler and I made it a point. Like, we got doxed, we got KYC'd. I love these AMAs because you get to hear my voice to verify it's me. I was kind of eating lunch during the start of this call, that's why I didn't put the camera on. But I'll go in front of the camera because if this project fails, it won't be for lack of trying. You won't see us pull the liquidity and run away. That's not going to happen. So I have nothing to fear about you seeing me because it's a legitimate project.
Well, one of the things that I did for you is I actually put you underneath a app that I have that determines whether you're lying or not. And one of the things that I did, man, is I actually went through and I actually started studying your fluctuations of your actual lie detection on your when you pause and certain things, where you're pausing. And dude, and you flew about 78% truthfulness, whereas most people are about 50, 60.
What do you mean 70, 80? What am I doing wrong?
No, you were 70, 80% truthful.
Yeah.
Whereas most people, even though they're truthful, they're about, anything less than 40%, somebody just outright lying. Yeah. You're about 70, 80. Most people, when they talk, they're about 50.
Okay.
50, 60%.
Huh.
I think the indication there is that the indication is not that you're being dishonest, but that you believe what you're saying is what he's getting at.
Yeah.
Exactly.
No, I wasn't offended. I was just thinking man, how do I hit 90?
You got to be a sociopath, basically.
Oh, okay.
You got to be a psychopath and a sociopath because everybody.
There we go. He might hit 100. But okay. Well, fair enough. I appreciate that.
Hey, Pedro, if you could DM me what you use to do that with. Okay.
No, I'm just messing with you guys. I was just playing.
Oh. Pulled that out of your ass.
That's horrible.
Hey, Pedro, why don't you start a fundraiser to make that app, and then you can rug pull it.
The thing is, I got to stand before God, man. That's what the problem.
Oh gosh, truth coins.
You know what? I bet you.
Truth coin.
I bet you truth coin. I can never do that. That's just But actually, that's not a bad idea. I bet you I have a friend of mine who is working on a, what do you call it? It is an app, and he's right now in process of coding and everything like that. And what it does is it sets up a way for you to negotiate. It's a negotiating app, and it's based off one of these books. And the voice fluctuations, stuff like that. So whenever somebody says certain keywords or certain things, it then gives you a prompt to say this and this, because this is where they're headed.
Yeah.
I thought it was brilliant. I thought, wow, this is an amazing project. And he goes, yeah, man, once I'm able to put it out there, it's going to make millions. And then I thought to myself, you could also use this as a lie detection too. It's obviously you'd have to switch it up, but it could be done.
Agreed. Well,
so he's still working on it.
Too, if you really want to be successful in business, any basic psychology courses really help, because tracking vocal patterns, tracking physical tics, seeing how somebody sits in their chair during an interview or how they fidget their hands, those are all things that you can kind of pick up on really quickly. I've trained myself to be able to sit still when I'm talking, but a lot of times when I'm doing these calls, I like to pace in the room because it keeps the energy up. So when I sit in a chair in front of the camera, I actually have a harder time talking to you guys than when I'm able to walk around, because it's how do I keep how do I keep that energy going without moving? So like Pedro, if you and I are on a call, like I'm literally pacing back and forth in my bedroom and my voice matches the pace. So it's
Actually,
little, So you can track those and start to understand too, because like if somebody really is just slouchy and slow speaking and like just tells you to just trust me, man, just trust me, like little things like that very quickly become noticeable.
As an investor, may I recommend something that does excite people? And if you're sitting there, and that is glow sticks.
Glow sticks.
You know what? I'll do some neon body paint and turn on the black light, and we'll get the party started.
Maybe some subtle drum and bass in the background. I don't know what you call it in America. Do you call it drum and bass? Probably not.
Well, I guess.
No.
Like, are you talking like? I don't know.
MDM or what is it called?
Oh, like, or house music.
Isn't MDM a drug? I don't know. No,
neither do I. Anyways, off track.
Yeah.
But yeah, for the most
we
part,
need an NFT with Joe with neon body paint.
You know what? We'll leave that up to Crippy you to pull off, because he made a Wild Joe Appears NFT that I really, or not NFT, but a GIF that I really appreciate. I almost want to turn that into an NFT.
You can make it an NFT, apparently. I ain't got a clue how to make them. I can make GIFs, really fucking I shouldn't swear. I apologise, everyone. Really fudging sweet-ass movies. And I forgot what I was saying. But yeah, I can't do NFTs.
Well, it's...
Yet.
I will try and find a little bit of literature for you, because it's not that hard. Like, to make a really good, expensive NFT, there's a little bit more coding and all that's required. But for like simplicity's sake, there's a few platforms that you effectively upload a photo, like you're uploading a profile photo, and it converts it into code for you. So there are some simple ways. If you wanted to dive into that just for your own personal uses, by all means, I can do my best to help you kind of to cross that bridge, because then you can just spend your profits on ADREAM.
It said I had to mint them.
Yes.
And I was like, what? Mint like a Tic Tac?
No, yeah, mint like an Andes mint.
I know, but this is where my brain was going, you see. This is why, as I've said before, I only serve tea
here. Guys, this is classic British humor. It's very, very dry, like British toast.
Drier than a nun's twat, my friend. I'm done.
There you go. Where in England are you?
I'm originally from the great city of London.
But when did they kick you out, and where do you have to go?
Oh, I'm not in London. I'm further north now.
When did they?
I get sick of the city's not beautiful. It's
they sent him to Wales.
Bad now.
Wait,
no.
That's not north, though. You said north.
Oh.
I did say north. I'm not. No, nowhere near Wales.
Oh, sorry. Geography. I flipped my map upside down. I thought Northern Ireland
Wales
was in the
is
south.
west. Northern Ireland's not north either. Northern Ireland's west, or northwest.
Yeah, fair enough.
Say, hey Joe, do you mind if I? There's an NFT project that I just invested in. I don't need to shill on it, but just to talk a little bit about some cool stuff.
Yeah, for real. 100%.
Yeah, this was a case where like a friend of a friend connected to the project, referred me, and just to give you an idea how serious the initial investors are, I think they raised $1 million in the private sale, and they're all vested for 3 years.
Okay.
So that's like, like
huge.
These are friends of friends. They know, like it's they're all really in it, but they're creating a meme app that mints your memes as NFTs. And so it creates a way of sharing content in social media that is tied, the ownership is tied back to you. So that's something they're planning in the future, but they created their own NFT series. They're doing a series of 10 unique ones over the next 2 months. But I haven't received it yet, but they've shown a video of it, and it's an animated NFT with a character that has music and voiceover, and the voiceover actor for the character is one of the voice actors for the Airbender series. And so they're like, it's like, you know, in terms of, I mean, there's a lot of very simple NFTs out there, but they're really bringing the element of story into the characters, and it's pretty cool to watch what they're doing.
Are you able to shoot me, or I'll give me 1 second to shoot you a DM? This Christian Robert, right?
Yeah, Christian Robert. I have 2 different accounts because my other one is sometimes gets banned because I go in and vet things and they don't want you asking questions.
Fair enough. So I'm shooting you a DM right now, so you can send me, because I'm kind of curious of the project.
Yeah, I mean, they're doing 10 different NFTs. They just did the first batch. So just FYI, I've put them in contact with the Ninja Lounge, so they're going to be doing an AMA there soon.
Okay.
But just one of the barriers of entry for the first round was that the NFTs were 1 ETH each.
Okay.
And that's a little bit rich for a lot of people. But I asked them, you know, you're going to have something that's a little easier for the average investor. And they did say NFTs will be like 0.1.
Are they sticking exclusively to Ethereum NFTs though, or are they cross-chaining?
These are on Polygon. They're a Polygon.
Okay.
I mean, you were paying an ETH, but they're on Polygon.
Okay.
And the team, you know, it's a very professional team and very, very creative. And it's definitely a project to watch. Like, they're people behind it, and it's been like 3 years in the making getting to this stage. So they're not like I mean, sometimes I know it's necessary for a project to do a launch and then have the resources to be able to do the steps to create what you want. In this case, they were already creating it before they even did their private round of investing.
Okay.
So yeah, I'll connect you to them. Right now, their Telegram group is really just like, they even call it the friends and family group.
Okay.
They haven't even begun to do public marketing yet.
Okay.
So, and normally, like, putting 1 ETH into a project with like the group, Telegram group is like 200 people. I mean, if I didn't know someone who was connected to them directly, I wouldn't. That's a pretty big risk and a red flag. But I mean, initially, for me to view their pitch deck and their white paper, I had to sign an NDA.
Fair enough. Okay.
So so they're, and like, even initially, so there's the NFTs, but there's also a token. So the token will be the utility token within the app that they're creating.
Okay.
And there will be staking options. The NFTs can be staked to earn their tokens. Now, this is how legit they are and how they're doing things. So they're based in Costa Rica. I think a bunch of them are Americans, but they're living down there.
Because they're smart.
And the law. So, like, I mean, it's down there. So, I mean, I don't know what the financial. There might be some advantages in having your company established there, but
I've got a buddy who's looking to move down there. Like, they're very smart about it. It's a lot cheaper. Like, a business like that, probably not paying anything in taxes because Costa Rica wants that kind of like business. So it's a super smart move on their part, especially if they're like expats who move down there. It's a really solid move.
Yeah, I mean, the team is living together, and you know, you can rent a mansion together, right, with a pool, and like, you can just live a really nice lifestyle. So but they you know, initially, because I'm involved with Vedder as well, I wanted to bring the project to Vedder, but you know, there are a couple of barriers of entry. One was the 1 ETH entry point, but then even then, they were consulting with their legal team, and they couldn't offer it to non-accredited US or Canadian investors. So they're actually like doing things, you know, by the book in the ways that you need to. So they're establishing like a really strong foundation. So what they did instead is they weren't going to offer the NFTs right away, but what they did is, since there were so many people of us interested in the US, they said, look, we'll do the first round of NFTs sooner, and what's coming later is that you can stake the NFT to earn the token. So, that way, you can still get in the game.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't mean to jump in. I was trying to understand what was there a question, or was there was it just like a comparison? I kind of jumped in there here late, so I was just trying to see what this was.
Oh, no, I was just sharing.
Was all about.
Yeah,
we were talking about NFTs and was sharing about.
Oh, okay.
Doing NFTs.
At first I jumped in and I was like, I guess we're just shilling other projects at the moment.
Yeah, no, I asked him to open the door on that one, so no, he's good.
Well, literally,
no worries.
I haven't said the name of the project, so I'm being careful to not shill in a public. If Joe, if you want to know the info, I can share it with you. So
yeah,
I like to stay respectful of.
Shot you a DM.
Okay, cool. So, anyways, just wanted to share that, and since you were over in the lounge with your AMA, where I found you, so.
No, I appreciate that, because I definitely want to check into it, because again, too, part of why Ninja does it, but I think Vetter used to do it. Pink Sale does it. Cody does it. Part of why I want to do in-house AMAs is because we never know what projects that we could end up growing a long-term partnership with that just started with the simple tell us about your project. So I definitely want to look into things like that, because you never know what could happen.
Well, yeah, vice versa. So seeing as their next round is doing a little bit of a lower entry point, I mean, cross-pollination. My impression too is there's talented media people behind they're doing in terms of graphics and putting together something really, really professional. So you never know, there could be professional cross-pollination there.
Yeah, exactly. So sweet, thank you.
Okay, thanks for having me here. I'm gonna have to pop off soon here, but it's really great to get an update on what you're doing with the project and what's coming, and I'll look out for the buying. What do you call it?
The coordinated uptick, coordinated buy.
Yeah, good. Yeah. So I'll start putting some of the B&B back that I took out. So I'll help the project move along.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
I'll do my part.
Yeah, and like I said, I'm not asking anybody to put anything more than they can afford in, nor am I asking for a ton. But if 1,000 of us put $5 in, that's still $5,000 of uptick in a coordinated pattern. It makes the volume look good, especially if we're at a low point in a 24-hour period. Each one of those fives makes that percentage higher and higher on the green. So
I'll make a quick comment if I may.
Of course.
Just on that, I love playing with the numbers, kind of extrapolating. It's like, hey, if I have this much and the price does this, what can it be? So if any of you you're thinking about your purchase next week or anything until then, at the current price, you can buy $1 billion for about $20. And Joe says, which seems reasonable, that down the road we can drop 4 zeros. So we go 0.0001. And if that happens, your $20 would turn into $100,000. So think about that, just a $20 investment, what it ultimately could turn into. So pretty amazing.
And that's not including reflections.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. But on that note, this is already an hour and a half. I was kind of expecting it to be 45 minutes. So if anybody else has anything, fire away. If not, we'll kind of wrap it up. But I think I'm going to still continue Fridays around this time to just be open community chat hour, where I can kind of give a weekly update, and then we can kind of banter as a group in a more unbuttoned style than a lot of these AMAs have been. So if anybody else has anything, fire away. If not, we'll wrap it up and we can all enjoy our weekend.
Can you give a quick recap of what was discussed? I got in late.
Oh, you're good. Quick recap of what?
What you guys discussed the last hour and a half.
Oh, we discussed everything. You did get in late. No, so
I'm more ADREAM.
Yeah. The primary thing was I discussed all the third-party AMAs we had this week and how much of a letdown they were. Surprisingly, I think we ended up not getting a single buyer from the last strew of AMAs, which is insane. The Satoshi ones had 90,000 people in the group, and it all ended up being bots, which kind of surprised me because that was the group that kind of had us rubbing elbows with Tron, Tezos, things like that. So like what a letdown that was. So then flipping it into next week, I've already got 2 potentials for in-house AMAs. I'm trying to find a few more. I'd like to do like 3 to 5 of ones that I find myself to bring in before I start touching the community suggestions. Because I've noticed a lot of these AMAs, when I go do them in another group, a lot of my investors follow through and go into their group and look. So I know on the flip side, they're going to do the exact same thing. And so kind of like the last guy just said, cross-pollination, I think is a fantastic way of doing it. But inevitably, like as much as I want you to buy exclusively ADREAM, that would be the worst financial advice ever. Like I want everybody to diversify their portfolios. So the idea is to start vetting projects for our swap, as well as bringing in their investors. And who knows, we might come across some absolute like golden projects that I myself even want to invest in. So I want to start hosting AMAs in our group versus paying other groups to host us, because I see a lot more value in that, at least for like the next week or two, to see if that has any difference. Talked about the central exchange listing, which once we see our next major uptick, once CoinGecko kind of gets their stuff together or enough days pass, as a brand with our current volume, we do about 1 BNB a day in income for the marketing wallet. And if we see another major spike, like a CoinGecko listing, we should actually be able to cover the remainder needed to get the centralized exchange listing with CoinTiger. So kind of talking about things like that. We discussed the Christmas NFT drop. We don't have a set number of how many we're going to do, but what we're going to try to do is about 60% of them is going to be randomized to the top wallet holders. And then another 40%, we're going to take the remaining wallet holders, randomize it, and then those are the people we're going to drop to. That way, because the whole vision of this project is not like letting the rich get richer. So we want to give equal opportunity to all members to have a chance at the different things. And then discussed a coordinated buy on like Wednesday of next week. I'll post a little bit more information and I'll pin it. But the idea is we're trying to effectively trick the chart into showing green candles. So when we start to see red candles, we'll do a buy, and we're talking like $5 buys. But if 100 people buy $5, that's $500. That's enough to turn a red candle green. And we are close to naturally bouncing off of our support, or bouncing off of our support. And so with the whole market bleeding, the theory is to trick our chart in such a way that as we continue to grow, because we're only 2 weeks old, as we get a little bit further down the line and the rest of the market is recovering, a lot of very intelligent investors are going to go and look at our chart and think, holy shit, Bitcoin, Ethereum, all these other massive projects, like they crashed hard. And this little altcoin that nobody's heard of, like they held the floor. So that is the major idea there, is to effectively trick the chart at low risk to any investor to have long-term gain. And then once we kind of trick that little bounce, and we have things like a CoinGecko listing. And if the CoinGecko listing happens beforehand, like most likely we're going to see a whole new floor. Like we're going to bounce off the support. We're going to crush through our new resistance, and then we're going to set up a whole new floor. So it's just about time. It's smoke and mirrors kind of is how I said that concept. Like somebody had kind of joked and said market manipulation, and we're trying to avoid it being considered that, because I don't want to just have a bot do it for us. Like I want it to be the community kind of does it in a way that isn't like at a major cost to anybody. Even not everybody can afford $5, but 5, 10, 20, 25. It's not a lot. I'm not asking anybody to throw a full BNB at it, but if we can all coordinate a $5 buy and there's 1,000 holders, even like that's $5,000 in a uptick. So that's the main thing there. And then we just kind of opened the floor, bantered a little bit. So if you have any questions, now would be the time to ask them.
Thanks for the summary. Much appreciated.
Awesome. Yeah. So then if that is all, I am going to go ahead and wrap this up really quick. But again, always shoot me a DM, post it in the chat. I'll remain as open to this community forever as humanly possible. As long as it's, as long as I still get to sleep, which I've been doing this week. It feels weird. I'll always be in touch with you guys. So never hesitate to reach out, and have a wonderful weekend, guys.
You too.
No God bless this time?
Fuck me. Pay me and you'll get more.
Fair enough. I'll shoot you one ADREAM.
No.
Anyways.
God, I'm grateful. God bless you all.
There we go. Have a great weekend, guys. Bye.